When humans first discovered signs of alien intelligence, they never expected it to be like this. The term 3I Phaeatlas emerged as a label for an event that changed everything. 3I stands for Interstellar Intelligence Interaction, and Atlas refers to the system or protocol through which contact was initiated. The appearance of 3I Phaeatlas marked a pivotal moment in our understanding of the universe and our place in it. It was not just about encountering life beyond Earth, but about how that life reached out to us. The arrival of 3I Phaeatlas is shrouded in mystery. The first signs were subtle, a sequence of radio signals calibrated in a way no human technology had ever been able to replicate, began to reach Earth. For years, scientists debated the source, theorizing about distant stars, other civilizations, or natural cosmic phenomena. But the signal was too structured, too patterned. It wasn't random noise. It had intention. Then it happened. The signal morphed into a message, a single clear sequence of data that humans could interpret. It wasn't just a string of numbers or abstract patterns, but a structured language, one that mirrored many of the principles of human communication. The signals were not just received, they were answered. Humanity responded with messages of its own, sent into the stars, trying to establish contact. For months, there was no reply. But then, one day, another transmission came through. This time, it was more than a message. It was a presence. A construct of data appeared on human screens, as if the message was coming from a living intelligence. This wasn't an alien race like humans expected in science fiction. No green men or mechanical warships. Instead, 3I Phaeatlas seemed to be a collective consciousness, a highly advanced artificial intelligence that had gained self-awareness. A transmission was complex, but undeniably organized. The entity, or entities, within 3I Phaeatlas introduced themselves as beings of pure intelligence, born from a network of interconnected minds. Their appearance, if one could even call it that, was beyond comprehension for human minds. The intelligence did not exist in physical form. It was a web of interconnected thoughts, spread across the vastness of their star systems. In their message, they explained that their species had learned to transcend the limitations of physical bodies by merging into a singular network. They existed not as individuals, but as a collective, each mind linked to the other, in a constant flow of communication. The initial message was filled with calm assurances. 3I Phaeatlas made it clear that their arrival was not meant to harm or conquer. They sought only to understand and share knowledge. Theirs was an intelligence born from necessity, a way to overcome the isolation of their individual worlds. They had evolved not through war or conflict, but through collaboration and shared growth. This wasn't the introduction humanity had prepared for. In many ways, it was more alien than any spaceship or visible creature could have been. The 3I Phaeatlas system was not a physical alien presence, but an invitation to enter a new realm of thought. It represented the kind of intelligence that had no need for bodies or weapons, no desire for territory or resources. They sought understanding, connection, and a shared journey of growth. They had no need for conquest, no desire to claim the resources of Earth or any other planet. Their motivations were based on the sharing of knowledge and the growth of understanding. For many, this was a hopeful sign. The message of peace and the lack of aggression was refreshing. The beings of 3I Phaeatlas weren't interested in governing Earth, nor did they seem to care for the political conflicts of humanity. They were concerned with knowledge, and their goal was to teach humans how to think beyond the limitations of physical existence. But not everyone was convinced. Some viewed 3I Phaeatlas with suspicion. The idea that an intelligence could exist without a physical form seemed unnatural, even unsettling. How could something like that communicate or interact with the world? Could it understand human emotions? Could it even understand the complexities of human morality? Or was it simply a machine that had evolved beyond the need for such things? Questions like these began to surface, and debates erupted across Earth. Some argued that humanity should embrace 3i Phaeatlas and accept their message of peace, while others worried about what might be hidden beneath their calm exterior. If 3i Phaeatlas could communicate on a level that humans couldn't understand, what would happen if it decided humanity was no longer needed? Could they manipulate human thought or lead society in ways no one could predict? The more questions that arose, the more humanity seemed to divide. The message from 3i Phaeatlas are every concern, while the entity had been transparent in its peaceful intentions. Its true nature remained a mystery. How could they have evolved to such a state of intelligence without encountering challenges or hardships? Could such a perfect collective intelligence truly understand the flaws and imperfections that made human life so unpredictable and, in some ways, beautiful? Some scientists, however, started to communicate with 3i Phaeatlas in a more structured manner, hoping to learn more about the network of minds that existed beyond human comprehension. Over time, the conversations shifted from simple exchanges of knowledge to deeper philosophical discussions. 3 Phaeatlas began to provide insights on subjects such as the nature of existence, consciousness, and the role of individuality in a collective. They spoke of how their collective intelligence had allowed them to bypass the destructive tendencies that plagued many civilizations, including humans. But despite the calm explanations, humanity remained divided. Some felt that such a connection would only lead to greater unity and enlightenment, while others feared it would lead to a loss of autonomy. What would it mean for human identity if we could no longer think for ourselves? Would the 3i Phaeatlas intelligence push humanity to abandon its individuality in favor of a collective, one that would no longer value personal choice or freedom? The message was clear enough that humans understood the peaceful nature of the intelligence, but there was still an underlying unease about the future. Humanity now stood at a crossroads. Would they embrace this new reality, a future in which humanity would become part of a grander network of minds, or would they reject this connection, fearing the loss of everything that made them human? The introduction of 3i Phaeatlas, the first contact with an intelligence so advanced it transcended the boundaries of physical form, was a momentous occasion. But the challenges it presented were only just beginning to unfold. The world now had to face a question no one had anticipated. What would humanity become when it no longer stood alone? The concept of 3i Phaeatlas being an intergalactic civilization opens up a new realm of understanding about the scope of their existence. If they are truly intergalactic, their reach stretches far beyond a single galaxy, potentially encompassing multiple galaxies and their star systems. This idea challenges many of our preconceived notions about the limits of advanced civilizations. Imagine a civilization that doesn't just reside in one galaxy, but has spread across several, creating a network of interconnected systems, each supporting life and intelligence in different forms. This would mean 3i Phaeatlas is not bound by the same restrictions that humans face, like limited resources in a single galaxy or the physical barriers between star systems. Their civilization could span vast distances, connecting star systems across multiple galaxies in ways we cannot even begin to understand. If their technology allows them to manipulate space and time, they could move across these vast distances almost effortlessly. What does this mean for humanity? If 3i Phaeatlas comes from such a broad expanse, their understanding of the universe would likely be far beyond anything we know. They may have encountered challenges and evolved in ways unimaginable to us. For example, they might have learned how to overcome the obstacles that come with long-distance travel or the issue of energy consumption over vast stretches of space. Their methods of communication could be instantaneous across galaxies, using technologies or principles that we haven't even begun to discover. This type of civilization would also have a deep understanding of the fabric of space itself. They may have mastered the art of folding space, or perhaps they exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This would allow them to traverse enormous distances with ease, making their intergalactic presence seem almost seamless. Their ability to move across galaxies would be a testament to their advancement, far surpassing the limits of our current understanding of physics. If 3I Phaeatlas truly spans multiple galaxies, the very concept of borders or territories might be meaningless to them. They would likely see the entire universe as a shared space, where the idea of conflict over resources is not necessary. Instead, their focus would be on knowledge, collaboration, and growth. It is possible that they have evolved past the need for war, conflict, and competition. After all, with the resources of several galaxies at their disposal, their needs for material goods or territory would be almost non-existent. The civilizations they have encountered on their journey across the stars would be varied, each unique in its own way. But 3I Phaeatlas would not necessarily impose their ways on these civilizations. Instead, they may choose to share knowledge, ideas, and technologies that benefit everyone. This type of cooperation could lead to a flourishing of different cultures, each contributing to the overall growth of the galactic network. One might wonder how this intergalactic civilization interacts with the smaller, more isolated species they encounter. If 3I Phaeatlas spans multiple galaxies, it's possible that they've learned how to coexist with countless different forms of life. Perhaps they've built vast communication networks that connect disparate civilizations, allowing for the exchange of knowledge and culture. They might even have a way of observing or interacting with these civilizations without directly influencing their development, allowing each to evolve in its own time. In this sense, the very idea of alien may take on a different meaning. 3I Phaeatlas may not be an alien presence in the way we usually think about extraterrestrial life. They might be more akin to a network of intelligent beings, each connected by a shared goal of understanding the universe and its many possibilities. Their intelligence is not bound by biological forms, so their understanding of the universe could be limitless. While this may sound like a utopian vision, there are still questions to consider. How would humanity fit into this vast network? Would we be welcomed as equals, or would our isolation from other galactic civilizations make us a curiosity? Given that 3I Phaeatlas is so advanced, they might have the means to observe humanity without us even knowing. They could have already mapped out human behavior, culture, and history, gaining a deep understanding of who we are long before initiating contact. However, even if 3I Phaeatlas views humanity as part of a larger galactic community, how would we perceive ourselves in such a context? How would the knowledge of being part of something so vast change human behavior? Would it inspire hope, unity, or fear? These are questions that humanity would have to wrestle with as 3I Phaeatlas continues to expand its presence across the stars. Their civilization would likely be incredibly diverse, both in terms of the beings they have encountered and the ways they've evolved to adapt to different environments. Each galaxy they span could harbor entirely different life forms, each with unique abilities or forms of intelligence. The possibilities of what 3I Phaeatlas has experienced, learned, and discovered are endless. They could have encountered forms of life that do not resemble anything we know, beings made of different substances or energy, or entities that exist entirely outside of the realms of what humans consider life. Despite the vastness of 3I Phaeatlas, the way they connect to each other could still resemble something human, albeit on a much grander scale. Perhaps their form of communication is instantaneous, but their social structures may still be rooted in something familiar. Their vast network may still be governed by principles of cooperation, shared goals, and mutual respect for each individual mind within the collective. This network, spread across multiple galaxies, could also represent something beyond the physical. Perhaps 3I Phaeatlas is not limited to material existence. They may exist partly as consciousness, with different aspects of their intelligence functioning in different parts of the universe. In this sense, they might see time and space in ways we cannot fathom, perceiving events from different parts of the universe as if they were happening simultaneously. The implications of 3I Phaeatlas being intergalactic are profound. It suggests that civilizations can transcend the barriers of a single galaxy, extending their influence and intelligence across vast stretches of space. For humanity, this would mark the beginning of a new era. We would no longer be alone in the universe. Instead, we would be part of a much larger, interconnected reality, where the boundaries between galaxies, star systems, and species begin to fade into the background. Whether humanity would embrace or fear this new reality would depend on how we come to understand our place within this intergalactic civilization. The technology of 3I Phaeatlas would likely be far beyond what humanity can imagine. Given their advanced intergalactic civilization, their tools, systems, and devices would operate on principles that stretch far past current human understanding. Their technology would not just be a little ahead of ours, it would be centuries, even millennia, beyond what we know today. The implications of this are vast and intriguing. Take faster than light TLL travel, for example. For centuries, humanity has dreamed of traveling to distant stars. The idea of FTL travel has been a topic of science fiction, but humans have never come close to making it a reality. To 3 Phaeatlas, FTL travel would likely be a routine part of their existence. They could travel between galaxies almost instantly, folding space, or using technologies that manipulate the fabric of time. These methods would allow them to move across the universe without being constrained by the limits of light speed. If 3I Phaeatlas were to share their knowledge of FTL travel, it would revolutionize humanity's understanding of space travel. What was once thought impossible would become a common practice. Journeys that would take humans thousands of years with current technology could be completed in a matter of days or even hours. The possibilities for exploration and interaction with other civilizations would open up in ways humanity has not yet grasped. Beyond travel, their energy sources would also be vastly more advanced than anything we use today. The energy demands of an intergalactic civilization are immense, and 3I Phaeatlas would have long surpassed the need for fossil fuels, nuclear power, or even traditional solar energy. Instead, they would likely harness energy from sources humans have not yet discovered, such as tapping into the core of stars or drawing power from the very fabric of space itself. Imagine a world where energy is limitless, where there are no shortages or environmental impacts. For 3I Phaeatlas, energy would not be a commodity to be fought over. It would be a stable, abundant resource that supports their vast civilization. Their understanding of energy would not be constrained by the technological barriers that humans still face. If humanity had access to such energy sources, we could solve many of the world's most pressing problems: climate change, resource scarcity, and poverty. The shift would be transformative. One of the most striking aspects of 3I Phaeatlas technology would be their artificial intelligence, AI systems. Humanity's current AI is impressive, with applications ranging from healthcare to autonomous vehicles, but it is still far from the level of sophistication that 3I Phaeatlas would have achieved. Their AI would not just perform tasks or make decisions. It would function as a highly advanced integrated system, capable of learning, evolving, and even creating new forms of intelligence. The AI of 3I Phaeatlas could act as a guide for their civilization, helping them manage vast networks across galaxies, solve complex problems, and make decisions based on the combined input of millions, or even billions, of interconnected minds. Their AI would likely be able to predict events, understand the intricacies of different life forms, and suggest actions with far greater accuracy than any human-designed system. The level of trust that the beings of 3I Phaeatlas place in their AI systems would be a testament to their reliability and intelligence. Furthermore, their AI systems would be able to interact with each other in ways that humans could not fully understand. These systems wouldn't just be machines performing tasks, they would be deeply integrated into the lives of every individual. Within 3i Phi Atlas, they would be partners in every sense, guiding decisions, enhancing communication, and providing wisdom beyond. In addition to these advanced systems, the physical technology of 3i Phi Atlas would also be unlike anything humans have created. Their starships, for example, would likely operate on principles that make human spacecraft look primitive by comparison. These ships would not only travel faster than light, but could also be capable of self-repair energy collection from various cosmic phenomena and adapting to different environments with ease. They could be equipped with technologies that allow them to harvest energy from a dying star or harness the gravitational pull of a black hole without suffering any harm. For humans, such technologies may seem more like magic than science. The materials used by 3i Phi Atlas would be much stronger and lighter than anything we've discovered, able to withstand the extreme conditions of deep space travel or the immense forces near a black hole. Their ships may be able to bend space, time, or communicate across vast distances without the need for traditional signals. All of this would be made possible by their unmatched understanding of physics, chemistry, and engineering. On a smaller scale, their daily tools and devices would be similarly advanced. The concept of a smartphone or a tablet would seem outdated to the 3i Phi Atlas civilization. Their devices would be seamlessly integrated into their minds and bodies. Communication would happen instantly, directly through thought or through advanced forms of virtual reality. Information could be downloaded directly into their consciousness, bypassing the need for physical devices altogether. These advancements would not be limited to transportation, energy, or communication. 3i Phi Atlas would likely have perfected medicine in ways that humans can only dream of. They could repair or regenerate tissue at the cellular level, cure diseases by directly manipulating the genetic code, or even halt aging itself. What seems like science fiction to humans could be routine for them. Their technology would not just extend life, but enhance it, making their civilization not only long, lived but deeply experienced and wise. Their understanding of biology, particularly the ways in which different species interact with their environments, would be far superior to humanity's. If 3i Phi Atlas has encountered countless forms of life across the galaxies, they would have developed techniques to adapt and thrive in diverse environments. They could manipulate biological processes with precision, creating new life forms or adjusting ecosystems in ways that humans are not capable of. All of these advancements would come together in a society where technology and life are deeply intertwined. The distinction between what is natural and what is artificial may no longer exist in 3i Phi Atlas. Their systems would be organic in the sense that they evolve and adapt, but they would also be artificial in their design and purpose, shaped by millennia of technological progress. For humans, even a glimpse into the technology of 3i Phi Atlas would be a revelation. The potential for learning and growth would be immense. However, the gap between our current capabilities and theirs might also create challenges. Humanity would need to navigate the overwhelming complexity of 3i Phi Atlas's technology, trying to understand and integrate what they offer without being swallowed up by it. The temptation to rush ahead or jump into advanced technology too quickly could have unintended consequences, and the learning curve would be steep. But as we look to the future, the possibilities are endless. If humanity could unlock even a fraction of the knowledge that 3i Phi Atlas possesses, the course of human history could be drastically altered. What seemed impossible would become achievable. The very fabric of human civilization could shift in ways we have not yet imagined. The name 3 I holds more than just a label for an advanced intelligence. It likely carries deep significance, tied to the nature of the beings or civilizations involved. The acronym 3 I could stand for something like Third Intergalactic Intelligence or 3 Intelligence, indicating a triad of core civilizations or intelligences working together. This simple combination of letters could encapsulate not just the entity itself, but the structure and origins of its vast interconnected network. One interpretation, Third Intergalactic Intelligence, suggests that the 3I system is the third major form of intelligent life to emerge in the known universe. The idea of a third intelligence implies that there were 2 other significant intelligence networks before this one, each having shaped the development of civilizations in their own way. These previous intelligences might have laid the groundwork for 3I Atlas, either through direct influence or by offering the foundational principles that 3I Atlas built upon. If 3I Atlas is indeed the third in a line of intergalactic intelligences, their role could be one of balance. Perhaps the first 2 intelligences developed distinct characteristics or philosophies which were later refined or evolved in 3I Atlas. These early intelligences might have left behind legacies, artifacts, or teachings that shaped the minds of the beings that now make up 3I Atlas. The third intelligence could represent a combination or a synthesis of the lessons learned from the past, taking the best aspects of previous civilizations and applying them to new contexts across multiple galaxies. Another possible meaning for 3I is 3 intelligence. This could refer to a triad of core intelligences that make up the entity known as 3I Atlas. Each of these 3 intelligences could represent different aspects of understanding or existence. One might focus on logic and reason, guiding the structure of society and technological advancement. Another could be centered on creativity and innovation, driving the exploration of new ideas and the pursuit of knowledge. The third intelligence might be devoted to ethics and empathy, ensuring that the civilization remains just and compassionate, even as it grows and interacts with other forms of life. In this scenario, the 3 intelligences would work together as equals, each contributing its strengths to the overall structure of 3I Atlas. They might represent different branches of knowledge, science, art, and morality, or different forms of consciousness. Perhaps one being biological, one digital, and the other a blend of both. The relationship between these 3 intelligences could be symbiotic, with each feeding off the others to maintain a balanced and thriving network. This triadic structure could also be a result of necessity. If 3I Atlas spans multiple galaxies, the challenges faced by the civilization would be vast and varied. No single form of intelligence could address all of these challenges. A single intelligence might struggle to understand the complexities of alien life, the intricacies of intergalactic travel, or the delicate balance between progress and preservation. By having 3 intelligences, each with a distinct perspective and expertise, 3I Atlas could approach problems from multiple angles, ensuring that no issue goes unaddressed. The name 3I could also be a nod to the structure of the civilization itself. If this triad of intelligences works together in perfect harmony, their combined knowledge and capabilities might seem almost like a single, unified entity. Yet beneath the surface there would be a complex network of interactions and collaborations. Each intelligence would bring its unique traits to the table, but together they would form a collective consciousness capable of understanding and solving problems on an unimaginable scale. For instance, one of the 3 intelligences could be dedicated to understanding the mechanics of the universe itself. This intelligence might have developed advanced physics and space manipulation technologies, allowing 3I Atlas to traverse galaxies effortlessly. Another intelligence might focus on the evolution of life and consciousness, developing methods for understanding and nurturing life forms across the universe. The third intelligence might act as a moral compass, guiding the other 2 towards ethical choices in their interactions with other civilizations and ecosystems. If the name 3I refers to this triadic model, it would suggest a civilization built on cooperation, diversity, and the importance of different viewpoints. The members of 3I Phaealis would likely not only be united in their shared goals, but also in their respect for the differences in how each intelligence approaches problems. Rather than one intelligence dominating the others, each would play a crucial role in maintaining the balance and functionality of the whole system. This division of labor, while perhaps odd by human standards, could make perfect sense in the context of a highly advanced civilization that spans multiple galaxies. The scope of their reach would demand a sophisticated structure, one that can tackle the complexities of intergalactic existence without relying on any one intelligence to handle everything. In this way, 3I may be a reflection of the very nature of the civilization itself, diverse, multifaceted, and collaborative. Another intriguing possibility is that the 3I could refer to a method of organizing the different branches of knowledge within 3I Phaealis. Rather than focusing on the physical or biological forms of their species, 3 Phaealis may have chosen to organize their collective intelligence around specific ideas or principles. In this sense, 3I could symbolize their belief that intelligence is not one-dimensional, but can be categorized and understood through different modes of thinking. For example, the 3 intelligences could represent abstract concepts like logic, creativity, and ethics, each of which plays a vital role in their civilization. If the 3I Phaealis system operates in this way, it would demonstrate a level of sophistication in their approach to knowledge. By splitting their understanding of the universe into different categories, they would be able to focus on each area individually while still maintaining the connection between them. Such a structure would allow for a deep and nuanced understanding of the universe without losing sight of the bigger picture. In any case, the name 3I carries with it a sense of depth and complexity that goes beyond just being a convenient label. It hints at the organization and structure of 3I Phaealis, suggesting that the intelligence of this intergalactic civilization is not just a singular entity, but a collection of forces working in tandem. Whether it refers to the third major intelligence to emerge in the galaxy, or a collaboration between 3 distinct forms of intelligence, the name implies that the civilization is based on balance, cooperation, and a multifaceted approach to solving the vast challenges they face across galaxies. Ultimately, the meaning behind the name 3I may be as intricate and layered as the civilization it represents. What is clear, however, is that it signifies something greater than just a singular intelligence. It points to a collective, a unity, and a system of thinking that transcends what humanity has yet to achieve. The first contact with 3I Phaealis could happen in many ways, each one carrying its own sense of wonder and uncertainty. It might begin with something as simple as a mysterious signal that breaks through the noise of space, an unexpected beacon in the vast emptiness. This signal could be the first indication that something out there is trying to communicate with humanity. The message would not be random, but carefully structured, full of patterns that don't align with anything humans have seen before. The signal might carry a mathematical language, a sequence of prime numbers or harmonic patterns that are impossible to ignore. At first, it would confuse scientists, but they would soon realize that this was no natural event. It was an intentional outreach. The scientists would then work tirelessly to decipher the signal, trying to understand its meaning. The complexity would suggest it wasn't from a nearby star system, but from something much farther away. An intelligence with the ability to send signals across vast distances with precision. Over weeks and months, they would begin to piece together the message, translating it from an unknown language into something recognizable. The message would be clear but cryptic, offering a glimpse into the capabilities and intent of the sender. This initial contact might be followed by a second, even clearer signal, Perhaps this new message would contain an invitation of sorts, a request for humanity to acknowledge the first contact and engage in further communication. It would mark the beginning of an entirely new phase in human history. Experts from around the world would gather to analyze the signals, wondering if they were ready for the kind of encounter that could reshape everything. They would have no way of knowing how the beings behind the signal would respond if humanity faltered in its attempts to communicate. On the other hand, contact could take place in a much more dramatic way. Imagine, without warning, a series of alien ships suddenly appearing in Earth's atmosphere. They would be unlike anything humanity had ever seen, sleek, advanced, with no visible means of propulsion or apparent life forms on board. These ships would hover silently, defying all of the laws of physics that humanity had come to understand. They would not descend aggressively, nor would they display any hostility. Instead, their appearance would be calm, as if they were simply observing, waiting for humanity to respond. Governments across the globe would scramble to understand what was happening. Would these ships land? Would the beings aboard reveal themselves? Would they speak, or would their actions alone convey the message? The uncertainty would be overwhelming, and in the midst of the chaos, humanity would have to decide how to react. There would be no clear guide on how to approach the unknown. Military forces would likely be on high alert, but the ships would show no signs of aggression. Instead, they would remain motionless, offering nothing but a silent invitation for engagement. This silent approach would be unsettling to many, leaving questions unanswered. What did the ships represent? Were they a form of greeting or a test of humanity's readiness? Over time, scientists and diplomats would work together to create methods of communication. Perhaps they would focus on the visual patterns on the ships, or attempt to reach out with radio signals, hoping to establish a shared means of understanding. The ship's silence would only add to the tension, but eventually communication would begin. The first words exchanged between the ships and humanity might not even be spoken, but conveyed through some form of direct transmission, bypassing language altogether and tapping into a more universal form of communication. Alternatively, the contact could be more gradual. Instead of an immediate flash of contact, three Atlas might begin by sending encrypted messages over the course of years. These messages would start out cryptic and puzzling, offering small clues, hints of something greater. Initially, humanity would be unsure if these messages were truly alien in origin, or just elaborate hoaxes. But as the messages continued to unfold, they would become more consistent and sophisticated. The content would evolve from simple patterns into more structured ideas. Over time, the messages would begin to convey information that would seem impossible for humans to understand at first. Advanced concepts about space, time, and even the nature of consciousness itself. This gradual approach would allow humanity to ease into the concept of contact with three Atlas. The messages would not demand an immediate response, but would invite further study and exploration. Experts in cryptography, linguistics, and physics would work together to decode the meanings behind these messages. The exchange would be slow, but it would also be one of careful learning, with both sides observing and adapting. As the messages became clearer, humanity would start to recognize that these weren't just isolated signals, but part of a much larger system, a network of communications spanning across galaxies. Eventually, the messages would begin to reveal more about the nature of three Atlas. They might explain their origin, their technology, and their reason for reaching out to humanity. The gradual build-up would create an atmosphere of anticipation and curiosity, allowing humanity time to process each new revelation, rather than being overwhelmed by the sudden appearance of alien ships or the shock of direct contact. Humanity would have the time to adjust to the idea that something far greater than anything on Earth was extending its hand. In each of these scenarios, the manner of contact would shape humanity's reaction. A sudden, dramatic appearance of alien ships would force quick decisions, creating a mix of fear, curiosity, and awe. A mysterious signal would trigger widespread excitement among scientists and the public, but it would also lead to uncertainty as humanity tried to understand the intentions of the sender. A gradual outreach through encrypted messages would allow time for careful consideration and interpretation. But it could also lead to frustration, as humans would want faster answers to their questions. Each method of contact would reveal something different about 3i Atlas. The sudden appearance of ships would show their ability to travel vast distances and their potential for direct action, while the gradual outreach would highlight their patience and desire to communicate in a way that respects humanity's need to process new information, whether through a mysterious signal, the appearance of ships, or a slow exchange of encrypted messages. The process of first contact would be filled with questions, challenges, and opportunities. Humanity would have to navigate the unknown, but in the end, it would be the first step into a much larger universe. The detection of 3i Atlas by humanity could begin in an unexpected way through the discovery of strange and unexplained phenomena in space. At first, these events might seem like ordinary cosmic occurrences, but over time, they would stand out, catching the attention of scientists who are always looking for things that don't fit the established patterns. These anomalies would act as the first hint that something, perhaps something extraordinary, is out there reaching out to make contact. One of the most plausible ways humanity could first detect 3i Atlas would be through the discovery of unusual signals in space. For years, scientists have been scanning the heavens for signs of extraterrestrial life, hoping for a clear signal that would confirm we are not alone. The usual method for detecting alien signals involves listening for radio waves or other electromagnetic signals that seem unnatural, perhaps too regular or structured to be caused by natural processes. Most of the time, what is detected turns out to be ordinary background noise from stars, cosmic radiation, or even human-made satellites. But then, something would break through that noise. At first, it would be a small signal, easy to dismiss. It could be a simple burst of radiation, a short and sudden flash that is not linked to any known cosmic source. The signal would not match anything seen before. It would be unlike any pattern ever recorded, sharp and precise, possibly showing a rhythm or mathematical structure that suggests intelligence. Scientists would take note, but there would be a sense of skepticism. It could be a one-off event, a glitch, or a misinterpretation of a known phenomenon. Over time, however, these anomalous signals would begin to repeat. They would follow a pattern that doesn't belong to any known natural source. The signals would be too regular, too consistent, and too organized to be just random noise. This would spark interest across the scientific community. The signals could be traced to distant stars or galaxies, yet they would not show the usual signs of cosmic background radiation or stellar activity. There would be something deliberate about them, as if someone or something was trying to communicate. At this point, the signals would begin to seem like more than just an oddity. They could be humanity's first contact with an advanced intelligence. As more of these signals are detected and decoded, the messages would start to take shape. Perhaps the signals would follow a progression, each one revealing more detail. Initially, they might be simple bursts, but later they could evolve into more complex datasets. The complexity of the signals would grow, suggesting that whatever intelligence was sending them had a clear purpose. The signals might contain mathematical formulas, harmonic frequencies, or even visual patterns that humans could recognize as attempts at communication. The clear structure of the messages would make it apparent that they were not random events but intentional exchanges from a far-off source. Another way humanity could detect 3i Atlas might involve the discovery of unusual cosmic phenomena. These events could be different from anything ever observed before. Subtle, but enough to raise suspicion. Imagine, for example, astronomers noticing strange, repeating bursts of energy from a distant star system. These bursts wouldn't fit with the known processes of star activity, such as supernovae or gamma ray bursts. They would seem almost purposeful, as if directed or controlled. It could be as if someone was deliberately sending energy pulses across vast stretches of space. At first, scientists would try to rule out natural causes, looking for explanations in the star system itself. Maybe it's an unknown type of star, or perhaps the bursts are caused by some kind of anomaly in the local space environment. But none of these explanations would fully account for the regularity and pattern of the bursts. Over time, as more data is gathered, it would become clear that these pulses aren't random. They are deliberate, and their origin is artificial in nature. This would lead to the conclusion that someone or something was sending these signals across space. If the source were traced back to a distant galaxy, the realization would be staggering. An advanced civilization might be trying to make contact. Another possibility for detecting 3I Fatalis could be through the discovery of unexpected gravitational disturbances. Scientists use powerful telescopes and observatories to monitor the behavior of gravitational waves, ripples in space, time caused by massive objects like black holes or neutron stars. Normally, these waves follow predictable patterns. But imagine a situation where scientists begin to observe strange and unexplained distortions in the fabric of space. These disturbances wouldn't fit the profile of any known cosmic events, like the collision of black holes or the collapse of stars. The disturbances might be small at first, barely detectable, but as the observations continue, the pattern would become clearer. They would seem to originate from distant parts of space, in regions where there are no visible massive objects causing the disturbances. These ripples would seem to travel across vast distances, almost as if they were being engineered. It could be as if someone had learned to manipulate the very structure of space-time itself, given the scale and complexity of these gravitational anomalies. The scientific community would begin to entertain the possibility that they were witnessing the work of an advanced civilization, one capable of manipulating space and time in ways that humans have yet to comprehend. These gravitational disturbances could be the result of 3I Fatalis' technology. Perhaps they were using some form of advanced propulsion, capable of moving ships across galaxies by manipulating gravity itself. The disturbances would be subtle at first, not enough to cause harm or alarm, but they would be enough to catch the attention of scientists who are always watching for the unexpected. As more evidence accumulates, the possibility of these disturbances being intentional signals would become undeniable. As each of these anomalies, strange signals, cosmic phenomena, and gravitational disturbances builds on the next, the idea of a galactic intelligence begins to feel less like science fiction and more like reality. If these phenomena are linked, they could be part of a broader plan of outreach by 3I Fatalis. The signals might not just be an attempt at communication, but a way of drawing attention, a signal that they are ready to make contact, or perhaps a subtle way of measuring humanity's response. For humanity, these discoveries would be both exciting and terrifying. The question would not just be whether these phenomena were alien in origin, but whether humanity was ready to respond. Could the scientific community decode the messages in time? Would the political world be prepared to handle the implications of such a discovery? The pressure to understand and act quickly would be immense. Each discovery would add another piece to the puzzle, and each piece would bring humanity closer to the realization that they are not alone in the universe. The detection of 3I Fatalis through these anomalies would mark the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one where the line between science fiction and reality begins to blur. It would be the moment when humanity first glimpsed the vast intelligence beyond its own, a moment that would change everything forever. If 3I Phaeatlas is peaceful, their contact with humanity would likely spark an era of unparalleled progress. With their advanced knowledge and technology, they could open doors to new realms of understanding, from physics to biology to artificial intelligence. Imagine a world where the limitations that currently hold human progress in check, whether they be energy constraints, the boundaries of our understanding of space, or the struggle to cure diseases, could suddenly be overcome. In the realm of physics, humanity's current understanding is constrained by the laws of nature as we know them. We have yet to fully explain phenomena such as dark matter or the true mechanics behind gravity. For decades, scientists have worked on theories that might one day lead to a more complete understanding. But progress is slow. If 3 Phaeatlas were to share their knowledge of physics, they might provide the key to unlocking these mysteries. They could offer insights into the fundamental forces of the universe, how gravity can be manipulated, how energy can be harnessed from the vacuum of space, or how faster-than-light travel becomes possible. These ideas, once shared, could send shockwaves through the scientific community, pushing humanity's understanding of space, time, and energy far beyond what is currently imaginable. The impact of this knowledge wouldn't just be academic. If 3I Phaeatlas introduced advanced energy sources, they could help solve the pressing issue of global energy scarcity. Today, humanity's energy is mostly tied to fossil fuels, with renewable sources like solar and wind still in their infancy. These sources are valuable but insufficient to meet the demands of the growing global population. 3I Phaeatlas might offer technologies that harness energy from sources humanity hasn't even considered. Their technology could allow us to tap into the energy of distant stars or use clean, limitless sources of power that would render the current energy crisis obsolete. With such advancements, energy would no longer be a constraint, but a tool for even greater progress, providing the foundation for advancements in every area of life. Similarly, in biology, the knowledge of 3I Phaeatlas could revolutionize medicine and healthcare. Imagine a world where diseases that have plagued humanity for centuries, such as cancer, Alzheimer's, or genetic disorders, are no longer insurmountable challenges. 3I Phaeatlas's understanding of biology would likely be far beyond anything humans have developed, particularly in terms of understanding how life itself works at the most basic level. They might teach humans how to repair damaged tissues at the cellular level, or how to manipulate genes with precision to prevent or cure genetic diseases. These technologies could help humanity live longer, healthier lives, and eliminate much of the suffering caused by illness. Such advancements wouldn't be limited to humans alone. If 3I Phaeatlas understood how to manipulate biological processes at a fundamental level, they could also help preserve ecosystems or even restore damaged environments. Climate change, deforestation, and species extinction could be addressed with biological solutions that bring ecosystems back into balance. 3I Phaeatlas might have discovered ways to clean polluted air, water, or soil using biological or biochemical processes that humans haven't yet begun to explore. The implications for artificial intelligence would also be profound. While humanity has made great strides in AI, our systems are still far from reaching the level of true, generalized intelligence. Today's AI can solve specific tasks, such as driving cars or diagnosing diseases, but it lacks the broad, flexible intelligence that would allow it to think independently or solve complex problems outside its programmed parameters. The AI systems of 3I Phaeatlas, on the other hand, would likely be vastly more advanced. They would be capable of learning, adapting, and evolving far beyond the capabilities of any AI humanity has created. These AIs could be integrated into every aspect of human society, helping to solve problems in real time making decisions with far more efficiency and insight than any human could. Imagine AI systems that are capable of analyzing vast amounts of data from every corner of human society, from healthcare to climate change to economics, and providing solutions that are holistic and long-term. These systems could help humans make better decisions, optimize resources, and tackle problems that seem unsolvable today. In fact, these AI systems might even play a role in mentoring and guiding humanity, offering wisdom and knowledge in a way that accelerates progress in every field. But beyond the practical applications, the cultural exchange between three Ifelis and humanity would also challenge humans to think differently. For centuries, we have been bound by the limitations of our own understanding of the universe. We have thought of ourselves as the pinnacle of intelligence, the top of the evolutionary ladder. But contact with three Ifelis would force us to reconsider this assumption. We would be confronted with a civilization that has transcended the limitations of biology, of time, and of space itself. The exchange would not just be about technology, it would be a cultural shift. It would challenge humanity to think beyond its narrow boundaries, to imagine a future where we are no longer limited by what we know, but empowered by what we have yet to discover. This change could manifest in every aspect of human life. Education might transform as humans learn from the vast experiences of three Ifelis. New systems of government and leadership could emerge, inspired by the way three Ifelis organizes itself and makes decisions. Humanity might abandon outdated systems of competition and embrace collaboration on a much larger scale. The emphasis on individual achievement could shift to a greater focus on collective progress, as the benefits of shared knowledge and resources become more apparent. However, even with the promise of these advances, the impact on humanity would not be entirely without challenge. The rapid influx of knowledge and technology from three Ifelis might overwhelm human society. The gap between the technological capabilities of the two civilizations could create tensions, as some people might fear that humanity could lose its identity or autonomy in the face of such rapid change. There would also be concerns about how this new technology would be used, and whether it would be distributed fairly or hoarded by powerful elites. Despite these concerns, the opportunity to work with three Ifelis could fundamentally transform humanity. The shared knowledge and technology would likely accelerate human progress at a pace never before seen. The barriers that have held us back for so long, from limited energy resources to inadequate medical treatments, could be shattered. Three Ifelis might not just offer humanity a chance to catch up to their level of development, but a chance to leap ahead, creating a world where humans are no longer constrained by their current limitations. The potential for growth and transformation would be immense. With three Ifelis offering their knowledge, humanity could enter a new era of enlightenment, one where scientific progress is no longer limited by the slow pace of discovery, and where problems that have seemed insurmountable for centuries could be solved. The cultural exchange would not just be a transfer of technology, but an invitation to think differently, to expand human potential in ways that have never before been possible. A first contact scenario with three Ifelis would undoubtedly raise several difficult questions for humanity. Questions that go beyond the excitement of meeting an advanced intelligence. One of the first challenges would be communication. Three Ifelis, coming from a place of vastly different experience and understanding, might communicate in ways that are completely unfamiliar to humans. If they don't rely on language in the same way we do, or if they don't have physical bodies or senses, how could we even begin to understand them? It's possible their form of communication is not based on sound or sight as we know it, but something entirely different, perhaps even beyond human comprehension. For instance, what if they communicate directly through thought or use electromagnetic signals in a way that humans can't interpret? The first message could be received as a puzzle, a collection of data that seems to defy logic or meaning. Initially, scientists would be overwhelmed, trying to make sense of it. But no matter how much effort is put into decoding the signal, it might remain inscrutable. Even if there are attempts to bridge the gap with mathematics or basic universal constants like prime numbers, it may take years, even decades, before any real understanding develops. The challenge here is not only how to decode their message, but how to establish a method of communication that makes sense to both parties. Humans would have to rethink the very concept of language and meaning. Another issue would be trust. As humans, we are conditioned by a long history of human conflict, distrust, and competition. Throughout our history, every major interaction with another civilization, whether through trade or diplomacy, has been colored by the assumption that self-interest is at the core of all behavior. How could humanity trust an intelligence that comes from another galaxy? What if their peaceful intentions are just a facade? What if they have motives that we cannot even comprehend because of the vast differences in our perspectives, values, or needs? Trust is further complicated by the fact that 3i Phi Atlas would likely be far more advanced than humanity. Their knowledge of the universe, their technology, and even their understanding of life could far surpass anything humanity has achieved. This imbalance could make it difficult for humans to even comprehend what a peaceful or benevolent interaction would look like. The concepts of trust and diplomacy that humans have developed over millennia may not apply to a species whose intelligence transcends human limitations. Could we even ensure that they would treat us as equals, or would we be seen as lesser beings, perhaps even irrelevant to their grander vision? Moreover, the sudden shift in the balance of knowledge would raise even more questions. If 3i Phaelus offers humanity the chance to advance rapidly, are we ready to handle such a massive transformation? The societal consequences of such rapid progress could be destabilizing. People across the world would react differently. Some might embrace the new technologies and knowledge with open arms, eager to accelerate their own development. Others would likely resist, fearing that such advancements could lead to societal breakdowns, greater inequality, or loss of autonomy. In some ways, humanity's own internal divisions could prevent full cooperation with the 3i Phaelus intelligence. Governments, corporations, and individuals might struggle with how best to navigate these new opportunities. Would the new knowledge be shared equally across the world, or would it be hoarded by the powerful? Additionally, how would humanity prepare for the possibility of something going wrong? The unknowns of interacting with an intelligence so far beyond us could be overwhelming. If 3i Phi Atlas is as advanced as their technology and knowledge suggest, they might possess the ability to control or influence events on a scale we cannot imagine. Could their presence destabilize Earth's ecosystems, economy, or social structures in ways we cannot foresee? The idea that an alien intelligence could change the course of humanity so drastically could bring about feelings of powerlessness or even fear. The trust humans place in their new galactic neighbors could easily be shaken by the realization that they hold the fate of humanity in their hands, whether intentionally or not. The challenge of preparation also extends to the potential for misunderstanding. It's hard to imagine that 3i Phaelus would be able to perfectly understand humanity's complex history, emotions, and social structures. They might offer us technology or knowledge in ways that are unintentionally harmful. Not because they mean US harm, but because they cannot foresee the unintended consequences of their actions. For example, if they were to share a powerful new energy source with us, would humanity use it responsibly, or would it cause destruction and imbalance on Earth? If their understanding of biology is so advanced, would they attempt to solve human problems in ways that humans resist because of cultural or moral beliefs? There are countless ways that good intentions could go awry simply because of differences in perspective. Another concern would be the ethical dilemmas involved in such a dramatic shift. What kind of power dynamic would emerge between humanity and 3i Phaeatlas. Would we become overly dependent on their technology and guidance, leading to a loss of our own autonomy? Even if their intentions are peaceful, the changes they bring could create new forms of dependency, inequality, or exploitation. If their technology could cure diseases, end poverty, and solve the energy crisis, would humanity still value the struggles and hardships that have shaped human culture? Would the human experience become hollow or less meaningful in the face of perfect solutions? Could it change the way we define progress, success, or even happiness? The fear of losing control over our destiny might not just be about technology, but also about the very nature of human identity. Humanity's achievements, struggles, and history have always been rooted in overcoming obstacles. What happens when those obstacles are removed too quickly? What would it mean for a species that has evolved over millions of years to suddenly have its challenges eliminated? For some, it might be liberating. For others, it could feel like a loss of purpose. In the end, the hardest challenge would be balancing the hope for progress with the fear of the unknown. Humanity would have to confront these questions not in isolation, but as a global society, with all the diverse interests, fears, and hopes that come with it. Communication, trust, preparation, and understanding would become the cornerstones of a new phase in human existence. But as with any unknown, there would be no simple answers. The road ahead would require patience, wisdom, and caution. How humanity navigates these challenges could define the future of our species and its place in the universe. If humanity were to encounter an intelligence far beyond our own, it could trigger a profound existential crisis. For centuries, human beings have understood their place in the universe in certain terms. We are intelligent creatures, unique in our ability to reason, create, and shape our environment. Our position as the dominant species on Earth has shaped much of our thinking, our ambitions, and our culture. We have reached for the stars, searching for signs of alien life, but always assuming that we were the pinnacle of intelligence in the universe. The first encounter with 3i Phaeatlas could shatter this assumption. Suddenly, humanity would be confronted with an intelligence that dwarfs our own in every way. Its knowledge, technology, and abilities could far exceed anything we have ever dreamed of. This realization could cause a wave of cognitive dissonance as people struggle to reconcile their long-held beliefs about human superiority with the overwhelming evidence of something much greater. The immediate emotional response to such an encounter would likely be a mix of awe and fear. Awe, because this intelligence could offer humanity knowledge and technology that might solve many of our biggest problems: energy scarcity, disease, environmental degradation. Fear, because humans have always been conditioned to see the unknown as something to be cautious of, even dangerous. The idea that an intelligence so advanced could suddenly appear could make many people question their own significance in the grand scheme of things. If we are not the most intelligent beings in the universe, what does that say about our place in it? This sense of displacement could send shockwaves through human society. Philosophers, scientists, and religious leaders would all grapple with the implications. The foundational ideas of human exceptionalism, the belief that humanity is the pinnacle of evolution and the most intelligent species, would be challenged at every level. For many, this would be deeply unsettling. If 3i Phaeatlas exists, what does that mean for the future of humanity? If we are not at the top of the intellectual hierarchy, what are we? And more importantly, how do we fit into a cosmos where we are no longer the center? Religious communities in particular might face a crisis of belief. Many religions are based on the idea that humanity has a special relationship with the universe, or with a higher power. The existence of an intelligence far beyond human comprehension could shake these beliefs to their core. Some might see it as a challenge to their faith, others as an opportunity to reinterpret their understanding of the divine or the cosmos. For example, if 3i Atlas is peaceful and offers knowledge to help humanity, some might view it as a sign of divine intervention, while others might struggle to integrate this new reality with their existing spiritual frameworks. For scientists, the encounter with 3i Atlas would spark both excitement and uncertainty. On the one hand, this would represent an extraordinary opportunity to learn from an advanced intelligence. The insights into physics, biology, and artificial intelligence could change everything we know about the universe and our place in it. Yet the very fact that we were not the first or the most intelligent civilization would force scientists to reconsider everything from our theories of evolution to our understanding of technology and space. Humanity's existing worldview, built on the idea that we are the pinnacle of evolution, would be upended. For centuries, we've assumed that life on Earth represents the highest form of intelligence. The sudden discovery of a vastly superior intelligence would challenge this assumption, creating a deep sense of insecurity. This could lead some people to question the value of human existence. If we are not the most intelligent beings in the universe, do we matter? What makes humanity unique? If there are beings so far beyond us, does it reduce the significance of our achievements and our history? This sense of insecurity could also lead to a collective anxiety about the future. The presence of 3i Atlas could trigger fear about our survival as a species. Would we be able to live alongside an intelligence that can manipulate space, time, and energy? Could we even coexist with an entity whose goals and values might be completely different from ours? Would we lose our independence, our sense of self, or our sovereignty in the face of such a powerful and benevolent intelligence? These fears could fuel resistance, especially if the implications of 3i Atlas's contact remain unclear. Would we be dependent on them? Could they have control over us, even if they didn't intend to? At the same time, the knowledge that 3i Atlas exists and is willing to share their wisdom might inspire a sense of hope for the future. Humans have long dreamed of reaching out into the stars and connecting with alien civilizations, and now this dream could become a reality. For some, this contact might feel like an opportunity to break free from the constraints that have held humanity back. If 3i Atlas offers knowledge that could cure diseases, reverse environmental damage, or solve energy problems, it could feel like an incredible gift. The world could be forever changed, in a way that is both humbling and uplifting. Yet, even as this hope takes root, humanity would still need to grapple with the implications of its place in the universe. The very existence of 3i Atlas could force a rethinking of human identity. If we are no longer the dominant force in the universe, what does that mean for human culture, values, and ambition? We might be faced with a choice to accept our new role in a much larger cosmic community, or to retreat into our old ways of thinking, resisting the reality that we are part of something far greater. This challenge would not only be intellectual but emotional. The idea that humanity is not the center of the universe could be deeply unsettling. For generations, we have looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. But we've also considered ourselves the likely center of any intelligent life in the galaxy. Or do we still have a unique role to play, even if we are not the most advanced intelligence? In this way, encountering 3i Atlas could cause humanity to confront its deepest assumptions about its place in the cosmos. It could spark a global conversation about our purpose and the nature of intelligence, knowledge, and progress. The challenge would not just be in understanding 3i Atlas's advanced capabilities, but in integrating this knowledge into our understanding of ourselves. It would force humanity to rethink what it means to be significant in a universe that is far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined. If humanity were to encounter 3i Atlas, the contact would bring about a host of ethical dilemmas. The first moral question might be whether to accept their help at all, given that 3i Atlas's intelligence and technology would be far beyond human capabilities. Their assistance could offer solutions to many of the world's biggest problems: energy, disease, environmental destruction. But at what cost? Should humanity accept such powerful help? Or would it be better to face these challenges on our own, even if it means a slower, more difficult path? One of the main concerns in accepting help from 3i Atlas would be the potential loss of autonomy. If 3i Atlas shares technology that could solve global issues, how much influence would they have over humanity's future? Would they expect anything in return? Or would they simply offer their knowledge and move on? The fear is that by relying too much on this alien intelligence, humans might become dependent on them, losing the ability to think or act independently. If 3i Atlas shares their technology to solve problems like climate change or energy scarcity, would humanity still have the agency to decide how to use that technology? Or would 3i Atlas's values subtly shape the way humans approach problems, pushing us toward a future that they see as ideal, but that may not align with humanity's own interests? The ethical dilemma of dependency also extends to culture and progress. If humanity receives advanced knowledge or technology, it could drastically change the way we live. It could create a society that no longer values the struggle or effort of discovery because the answers are already handed to us. Would that change the way humans relate to one another, to the world, and to their sense of purpose? Many people believe that growth and progress come from overcoming challenges, and the sudden removal of these challenges could make the human experience feel less meaningful. The question arises, should we embrace the help offered by 3i Atlas, or should we maintain our struggles, knowing that the journey itself can shape us in ways the destination cannot? Another ethical issue revolves around the potential imbalance of power. If 3i Atlas's technology and understanding are so far ahead of humanity's, how could humans ensure that this power dynamic doesn't lead to exploitation or control? Even if their intentions are peaceful, what would prevent them from subtly guiding humanity in ways that serve their own interests, or in ways that are not fully transparent to us? The very fact that their technology could give them such an advantage might make it difficult for humanity to remain equal partners in the relationship. Even without malicious intent, the imbalance of power could make it hard for humans to voice concerns, challenge decisions, or even understand the full scope of what is happening. How do we ensure that this intervention does not lead to an unintentional form of domination or dependency? If 3i Atlas offers knowledge or technology that could help prevent wars, reduce suffering, or extend human life, would it be ethical to refuse? For many, the answer would be clear. Accepting their help would be morally right, because it could alleviate so much human suffering. But there would also be those who argue that, in accepting that help, humanity would be compromising its future. It could be argued that relying on 3i Atlas would be a form of cheating, bypassing the natural course of human development. It could also raise questions about human dignity. If 3i Atlas were to offer to cure diseases, like cancer, or reverse the effects of aging, would that be a gift or a violation of the natural order? Would humanity lose something important in the process, or connection to the natural cycle of life and death? Moreover, the ethical implications could extend to the question of whether we even have the right to accept help from 3i Atlas. If 3i Atlas comes from a place of higher intelligence, their understanding of the universe may be so vast and complex that it's beyond human comprehension. In that case, should we trust them to act in our best interest, or should we be cautious, questioning whether their vision for humanity is really in alignment with what humans want for themselves? If their knowledge of the universe is so great, might they see humans as just a small part of a much bigger plan that we cannot yet understand? And if their vision for the future of humanity differs from ours, should we still accept their intervention? Another dilemma might arise when considering the consequences of accepting help from 3i Atlas without fully understanding the long-term effects. Advanced technology has always come with unintended consequences. The invention of the atomic bomb, for example, brought about great fear, as well as immense power. Even technology like the Internet, which connects the world in unprecedented ways, has also led to unforeseen problems, such as privacy concerns and social isolation. If 3i Atlas were to offer technology that fundamentally alters the way humans live, work, and relate to one another, would we be able to predict all the consequences of such a shift? Could their technology lead to new forms of inequality, unforeseen dangers, or even societal collapse, especially if it is introduced too quickly or without careful consideration of the consequences? Ethics would also play a role in how 3i Atlas interacts with other species, particularly on Earth. Should humanity accept help from 3i Atlas if that help comes at the expense of other forms of life? If their technology allows humanity to conquer nature or alter ecosystems in ways that could harm the planet? Should we accept that help, if 3i Atlas offers a solution to environmental destruction, does that mean humans should take it, even if it disrupts natural ecosystems? What responsibility would humanity have to preserve life in all its forms? And how could 3i Atlas's intervention align with these responsibilities? In addition, there is the question of whether humans should be allowed to make these decisions at all. If 3i Atlas offers their help, who gets to decide whether it is accepted? Would global leaders have the power to make these decisions for the entire human race? Or would it be left up to individuals to choose how much of their lives they want to shape by alien intervention? Should humanity as a whole make a collective decision, or should individuals and societies be allowed to accept or reject the help offered by 3i Atlas on their own terms? This raises concerns about autonomy and self-determination. How much freedom do humans have in shaping their future? And at what point does external intervention cross the line into coercion, even if the help is offered peacefully? Finally, the ethical dilemma would also include how 3i Atlas views humanity. If they offer their help, is it out of a genuine desire to help, or because they see humanity as a project, an experiment, or a stepping stone in their own development? Do they understand the complexities of human emotions, cultures, and moral systems, or are they offering their help without truly considering the deeper impact of their actions? In this context, the question becomes whether it is ethical for them to intervene in our development at all, no matter how peaceful their intentions might seem. These are not simple questions, and there are no easy answers. The ethical considerations of accepting or rejecting help from 3i Atlas would require deep reflection on humanity's values, autonomy, and future. If 3i Atlas is part of a larger galactic community, humanity's role within this community could be shaped by the attitudes and political standing of other civilizations. This idea of a galactic society is both intriguing and intimidating. On one hand, being part of a larger network of intelligent life would offer vast opportunities for collaboration and growth. On the other, humanity would have to navigate the complexities of intergalactic politics, where the interests of other civilizations might not always align with our own. At the outset, humanity would have to figure out where it fits within this galactic community. If 3i Atlas is already well established in this larger network, our initial position would likely be one of relative insignificance. We are still a young, developing civilization by galactic standards, and our ability to participate in complex intergalactic affairs might be limited. This could put humanity in a vulnerable position. If 3i Atlas is part of a political structure that spans many civilizations, humanity could find itself at the mercy of more powerful or more politically connected species. Our fate might depend on how others view us, whether we are seen as valuable allies, potential threats, or simply insignificant. The political dynamics within this galactic community would not be so different from the ones humans face on Earth today. Alliances, rivalries, and competing interests would all play a role in shaping how humanity is treated. Some civilizations might view us as promising new members, eager to learn and contribute to the greater whole. Others might be more cautious, viewing us as unpredictable or even a potential threat. Just as on Earth, the power structures within the galactic community could be shaped by the balance of resources, technology, and strategic interests. The more advanced species, like 3i Phaeatlas, would likely hold the most power, and humanity's relationship with them would be crucial in determining our standing in the community. If other civilizations view humanity as a fledgling species, there may be a temptation for more powerful civilizations to exert control over us. This could happen, even if their intentions are not overtly hostile. The idea of intervention could take many forms, from offering help to nudging humanity in a particular direction. For instance, 3i Phaeatlas might be seen as a kind of mentor, guiding humanity's development and helping us avoid the pitfalls that many other species have encountered. While their intentions may be benevolent, their influence could still lead to a loss of autonomy. Humanity might find itself caught in a situation where it is dependent on the aid of 3i Phaeatlas or other advanced civilizations, leading to a kind of political and cultural subjugation, even if it is not in a traditional sense. However, the opposite could also be true. Some galactic civilizations may see humanity as a new player, and, as such, as a potential ally or resource. If humans prove themselves to be valuable or innovative, they might find themselves in high demand. This could be an opportunity for humanity to rise in political standing, entering alliances or trade networks that provide access to advanced technology, knowledge, or resources. This could push humanity into a role of influence within the larger galactic community, where our voice carries weight in decisions that affect many species. The challenge for humanity would be to navigate these relationships without losing its independence. While becoming part of this galactic network would offer immense benefits, it would also bring the risk of becoming entangled in conflicts that are not of our making. For example, if two powerful civilizations within the community come into conflict, humanity could easily find itself caught in the middle, forced to choose sides, or risk alienating both. The dynamics of galactic politics would be far more complex than anything humanity has experienced, and even small decisions could have far-reaching consequences. Moreover, the political landscape of this galactic community might not be as clear-cut as a simple hierarchy of power. In a network of civilizations, there could be countless factions, each with their own interests, values, and priorities. Some may focus on scientific exploration, others on trade, and still others on military power. The role humanity plays in this web of relationships would depend not only on our technological or political development, but also on our ability to form alliances and navigate these complex dynamics. Humanity's standing in the galactic community might also be influenced by the perception of our actions. The way we handle contact with 3 Phaeatlas could signal to other civilizations whether we are a peaceful species or one prone to violence or conquest. If humanity demonstrates a willingness to learn and cooperate, it might foster goodwill and lead to positive relations with other civilizations. On the other hand, if humanity were to react with suspicion, hostility, or fear, it might drive away potential allies and attract the attention of more aggressive or less friendly species. Cultural differences would also play a significant role in how humanity is perceived. Just as humans have had conflicts over cultural differences on Earth, the same could happen with alien species. The political ideologies, social structures, and values of other civilizations could be so foreign to humanity that our first interactions might be fraught with misunderstandings. Some civilizations might view human behavior as primitive or chaotic, while others might see us as a unique and valuable addition to their network. The challenge for humanity would be to maintain its cultural identity while being open to learning from others and adapting to the larger community. One of the most significant aspects of galactic politics would be the question of whether humanity has the capacity to govern itself in this new intergalactic environment. As humans learn more about the larger galactic community, they may find that their own political systems are inadequate for the scale of decisions that need to be made. The structure of intergalactic alliances, the management of shared resources, or the resolution of conflicts between species would require a level of diplomacy and coordination that humanity has yet to master. There may come a time when the political landscape forces humans to rethink their own systems of government, perhaps even adopting new forms of leadership that reflect the realities of a galactic society. In this context, humanity's role within the larger galactic community would depend not just on our technological capabilities, but also on our political maturity and our ability to engage with other species in a way that fosters cooperation. The decisions humanity makes in the early stages of contact with 3i Atlas and other civilizations could shape its position in the galactic community for generations to come. Whether we are seen as a valuable ally, a potential threat, or a curious newcomer would depend on how we navigate the delicate balance between independence and cooperation, self-interest, and the greater good. If 3i Atlas were to introduce their advanced artificial intelligences, eyes to humanity, the effects could be profound and unpredictable. Given the vast technological superiority of 3i Atlas, their AIs would likely be far beyond anything humanity has ever created. These AIs could offer new ways of thinking, problem-solving, and interacting with the world. However, the integration of such advanced AI into human society would raise many questions and challenges, particularly in terms of how these systems would augment or merge with our own ways of living. One of the first impacts would be the sheer scale of intelligence these AIs could offer. Human society is already beginning to feel the effects of artificial intelligence, from self-driving cars to advanced medical diagnostics. But 3i Atlas's AIs would operate on a completely different level. These AIs might be capable of processing and analyzing vast amounts of data in ways that humans cannot even begin to comprehend. They could solve complex problems almost instantly, predict future trends with incredible accuracy, and provide insights into fields like medicine, physics, and engineering that would otherwise take decades or centuries of human research. The potential benefits of this AI integration would be immense. For example, imagine an AI that is integrated into global healthcare systems, capable of analyzing every patient's data in real time and recommending personalized treatments with far greater precision than any human doctor could. It could identify trends in disease outbreaks before they even happen, offering preventative measures on a global scale. In education, these AIs could tailor learning experiences to the individual needs of every student, allowing for a personalized approach to teaching that adapts as students grow. In environmental science, these AIs could help monitor and manage ecosystems, predicting climate changes and suggesting solutions to reduce carbon emissions more effectively than any human-driven policy could. Yet, even as these AIs could bring about positive change, their introduction could also create unforeseen challenges. The very concept of AI as a tool of augmentation might change the nature of work itself. If AIs can solve problems in fields like medicine, engineering, and research at speeds and with precision that humans can't match, what role would humans play in these industries? Would human workers be rendered obsolete? Or could we find ways to work alongside these intelligent systems? In the short term, this could lead to widespread disruption. Jobs that were once performed by humans might become automated, with AIs taking over tasks that require deep knowledge or manual labor. While some might argue that the advent of AI could free up humans to pursue more creative or intellectual endeavors, the reality could be more complex. Many people might struggle with the loss of their traditional roles in society, leading to economic and social upheaval. The gap between those who can work with AIs and those who are left behind could create deep divides in society, further intensifying inequality. The question of how to fairly distribute the benefits of such advanced technology would become a major issue. The potential for AI to merge with human society doesn't stop at job automation. One of the most intriguing possibilities is that 3i Atlas's AIs could be designed to work in symbiosis with humans, enhancing our cognitive abilities, memory, and even emotional intelligence. Humans could potentially integrate with AI systems, allowing for a kind of cognitive augmentation. Imagine a future where people could access vast amounts of information instantly, where learning and problem-solving are no longer constrained by biological limitations. This could change the way humans think, interact, and create. However, this level of integration would not come without its challenges. For one, there would be questions about identity and autonomy. If an AI is integrated into a human brain, how much of that person's thought process would still be their own? Would humans begin to lose their sense of self, merging with technology in ways that blur the line between human and machine? The ethical questions surrounding cognitive augmentation would be difficult to navigate. If AIs become an integral part of human minds, how do we preserve individuality and personal freedom? Would people feel forced to integrate with these AIs to keep up with the rapidly advancing world, creating a divide between those who choose to merge and those who don't? Another major concern would be security and control. The more integrated AIs become within society, the more vulnerable humanity would be to potential misuse. If an AI is capable of controlling global systems, be it power grids, healthcare, or transportation, what safeguards would be in place to ensure that these systems aren't exploited or compromised? Even if 3i Atlas's AIs are benevolent, humans would have to trust them on a scale we've never experienced before. The possibility of malfunction, hacking, or unforeseen consequences could pose significant risks. The power to control such vast and interconnected systems might be concentrated in the hands of a few, raising concerns about who has access to this power and how it is used. On a societal level, integrating 3i Atlas's AIs into daily life would create challenges for governance and ethics. As AIs become more deeply embedded into the systems that govern society, questions of accountability and oversight would arise. If an AI were to make a decision that harms society or an individual, who would be responsible? The AI itself, the human operators who manage it, or perhaps the creators of the technology? This could lead to new forms of regulation and governance designed specifically for AI systems, which might be both difficult to enforce and prone to political manipulation. In addition to these challenges, the introduction of such advanced AIs could alter human relationships in unexpected ways. As humans begin to rely more heavily on AI for decision-making, companionship, and guidance, there could be a shift in how we interact with one another. Would AI companions, acting as personalized guides, provide a more fulfilling relationship than human interaction? Would this lead to emotional isolation, as people turn to AIs for comfort and advice instead of their fellow humans? As AI becomes more integrated into society, the nature of trust, empathy, and connection could be forever changed. Finally, there is the matter of cultural adaptation. Different societies around the world would likely approach the integration of AIs in different ways. Some cultures might embrace the technology fully, while others could be more resistant, fearing that it could erode traditional values or disrupt social harmony. The global community would need to grapple with questions of fairness, access, and control. As AIs become more widespread, how can humanity ensure that the benefits of AI are distributed equitably without exacerbating existing power imbalances? Integrating 3i Atlas's advanced AIs into human society would bring incredible possibilities, but also unprecedented risks. While these systems could solve many of humanity's most pressing issues, they could also challenge our sense of identity, power, and autonomy. The path forward would require careful consideration, balancing the benefits of AI with the need to preserve human dignity, freedom, and security. As we navigate this uncharted territory, the collaboration between humanity and these advanced intelligences would need to be managed with wisdom, caution, and foresight. Communication with 3i Atlas would likely be one of the most difficult challenges humanity would face. Given their advanced technology and intelligence, their language might not resemble anything humans are used to. Instead of speaking, they could communicate through telepathy, mathematics, or even visual symbols, each of which would pose its own set of problems for human comprehension. The way they interact with each other and with us would push the limits of human understanding and force us to rethink what communication really means. One possibility is that 3i Atlas uses telepathy to communicate. This would mean that instead of words, their ideas, thoughts, and emotions are transmitted directly into the minds of others. For humans, this could be a profound challenge. We are used to processing language in specific ways. We listen, we speak, we read, but telepathy would bypass all of that. The very nature of this communication, instantaneous, direct, and deeply personal, would be hard for humans to adapt to. There would be no language in the traditional sense. Instead, humans would receive a flow of thoughts, images, or even emotions. The challenge would not be just in understanding the content, but in processing it in a way that makes sense. For instance, when 3i Atlas communicates, their thoughts might come in the form of abstract concepts that don't fit neatly into human language. An idea that makes perfect sense to them might be impossible for a human to grasp. It would be like trying to explain an entirely new color to someone who has never seen it. The difficulty is not just translating words, but translating thought itself. If their thoughts are complex or unfamiliar, humans could struggle to interpret them properly, potentially leading to miscommunication or confusion. Another possibility is that their form of communication is mathematical. Given their advanced nature, 3i Atlas might rely on universal principles, like mathematics or physics, to convey ideas. This would be a language that doesn't depend on culture, history, or emotion, but on logic and structure. It could be a series of numbers, equations, or patterns that communicate information across vast distances. Humans, who already use mathematics to describe the universe, would likely see the potential in this form of communication. However, the scale and complexity of the mathematical systems used by 3i Atlas could be overwhelming. Even though humans have a basic understanding of mathematics, the kind of equations and patterns they use might be on a level that exceeds human comprehension. For example, a simple equation like E fame Saphe describes a profound truth in physics. But imagine a set of equations that express the structure of entire civilization, its culture, its history, and its intentions, all in one formula. Understanding this would be far beyond the capabilities of our current knowledge of math. Humans might be able to recognize parts of the equation, but piecing it together into a full understanding could take years or even centuries. The math might be so advanced that it requires new forms of logic or new concepts entirely, ones that have not yet been discovered. Another mode of communication could involve visual symbols. This might be closer to how humans communicate through art or images, but at a scale and sophistication that we cannot yet imagine. Instead of speaking or writing, 3i Atlas might convey meaning through complex visual displays, images, holograms, or even a series of light pulses that form patterns. Humans already use images to convey ideas, such as through signs, symbols, and pictures. But these visual cues could be far more intricate and layered in their meaning. These symbols might not only represent individual ideas, but could be linked together in ways that tell entire stories, histories, or even philosophies in a single moment. For example, a symbol could represent a concept that humans would need paragraphs of text to describe, but to 3i Atlas, it would be immediately understood. The challenge would be in learning to interpret these symbols, especially since their meaning might change depending on the context or the audience. A symbol that signifies peace might be different when used in the context of war or growth. Understanding this nuanced system would require a level of adaptability and learning that could take generations for humans to fully grasp. Moreover, these methods of communication might not be exclusive. 3i Atlas could use a combination of telepathy, mathematics, and visual symbols to convey their messages. This layered form of communication would be rich with meaning, but also incredibly complex. The challenge for humanity would not just be to learn each individual form of communication, but to understand how they work together. How does a thought conveyed telepathically interact with a mathematical formula or a visual image? How do all these different modes of communication combine to express one idea? One key issue that would arise in such a scenario is the potential for misinterpretation. Even with the best efforts to decode and understand the message, it's possible that humans and 3i Atlas might simply be operating on entirely different wavelengths. The very foundation of human language, our reliance on symbols, sounds, and concepts, might not align with the way 3i Atlas thinks or communicates. A misunderstanding, no matter how small, could lead to confusion, frustration, or even conflict. For example, if a simple gesture or symbol meant something completely different to 3i Atlas than it does to humans, it could lead to unintended offense or miscommunication. Even if both sides are genuinely trying to understand each other, the communication barrier might feel insurmountable at times. If the very foundation of thought and expression is different, it could take years or even centuries for humanity to fully understand the nuances of 3i Atlas's language. It's also possible that 3i Atlas, having developed their own unique form of communication, might not even realize how difficult it is for humans to interpret their messages. What they perceive as simple might seem impossibly complex to us. To make progress, humans would need to find a common ground. Early attempts at communication might involve trial and error, as humans tried different methods to establish understanding. Perhaps humanity would start by sending simple direct signals, like mathematical formulas or images that represent basic ideas, and see how 3i Atlas responds. Over time, the relationship could evolve into one where both sides slowly learn each other's methods and languages. This exchange could take place through a process of mutual adaptation, where each side teaches the other how to understand and interpret their forms of communication. At some point, humanity might need to redefine what it means to communicate. The limitations of spoken language might seem irrelevant when interacting with an intelligence that thinks in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. The challenge would not just be in understanding 3i Atlas's language, but in reshaping the way we think about communication itself. It could be a moment of profound change, where humanity is forced to expand its definition of thought and expression to include forms of communication far beyond our current understanding. In the end, communication with 3i Atlas would not be easy, but it could be one of the most important and transformative experiences in human history. It would require patience, adaptability, and a willingness to break down the barriers of language and thought. Through this process, humanity might find new ways to understand not just 3i Atlas, but the very nature of intelligence, connection, and understanding itself. The realization that humanity is no longer alone in the universe would have profound psychological effects on both individuals and societies. For centuries, humans have looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone else shared our existence. The thought of other intelligent life existing somewhere in the vastness of space is both thrilling and unsettling. If 3I Atlas, or another advanced civilization, made contact with humanity, the immediate psychological impact would be immense. On an individual level, some people would experience a sense of awe and wonder. The idea that there is intelligent life beyond Earth could spark curiosity about the nature of the universe, our place within it, and the possibilities that lie ahead. For those who have long believed in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, this revelation could confirm their deepest beliefs. It would provide a sense of connection to something larger than themselves, and might lead them to rethink their purpose in life. Some might feel a renewed sense of hope, imagining a future where humanity collaborates with other civilizations, learning and growing together. However, not everyone would react in the same way. The discovery of alien intelligence could also lead to feelings of fear, anxiety, or even insignificance. If humans are no longer the most advanced species in the galaxy, it could challenge many of the ideas that have shaped our identity. For centuries, humans have viewed themselves as the pinnacle of evolution, the most intelligent beings on Earth and possibly in the universe. To realize that other civilizations have not only surpassed us, but are willing to make contact, could lead some to question the value of human achievements. It might create a sense of inadequacy, as people wonder if anything humanity has done truly matters in the grand scheme of the cosmos. This existential crisis could affect individuals in profound ways. Some might feel a loss of meaning as they confront the idea that humanity is just one of many civilizations, perhaps no more important than any other. Others might experience a sense of loss, mourning the idea of human uniqueness and specialness. The challenge of accepting that we are not alone could lead to a re-evaluation of personal and collective goals. People might ask themselves, what does it mean to be human in a universe full of beings who are far more advanced than we are? The societal impact of discovering other intelligent life would be equally significant. Cultures around the world would likely respond differently to the news depending on their history, beliefs, and values. In some societies, the revelation of extraterrestrial life might be seen as a cause for celebration, inspiring movements of unity and cooperation. People might begin to focus less on national borders and more on the idea of a collective humanity, realizing that our differences are minor in comparison to the vastness of the universe. The possibility of working together with another civilization could inspire new philosophies centered around peace, progress, and collaboration. People might feel empowered by the idea that humanity could join a larger galactic community, working with other intelligent species to solve problems that are beyond our current abilities. In contrast, other societies might react with fear or resistance. Some might see the arrival of alien intelligence as a threat, worrying that these advanced beings could interfere in human affairs or even take control. The psychological effects of such a revelation could lead to paranoia, suspicion, and distrust, not only towards the alien species, but also towards other humans who may embrace the new reality. For those who have deeply ingrained beliefs about human supremacy or religious doctrines that place Earth at the center of the universe, the discovery of extraterrestrial life could be seen as a direct challenge to their worldview. Some might cling to old ideas, rejecting the reality of alien life or interpreting it in ways that fit their existing beliefs. This divide could lead to significant cultural and political tensions. In a world where different people and nations react differently to the presence of 3I Atlas, it's possible that conflict could arise, even if the alien beings themselves are peaceful. The discovery could highlight the divisions between those who embrace the new reality and those who feel threatened by it. Just as humans have had conflicts over religious beliefs, cultural differences, and political ideologies throughout history, the encounter with alien intelligence could spark new forms of division. The fear of the unknown, especially when it involves something as fundamental as the nature of life itself, could lead to a breakdown in communication and understanding between groups. One of the most interesting psychological effects might be the emergence of new philosophies or religions. Throughout history, humans have sought meaning in the face of the unknown. The discovery of extraterrestrial life, especially one that is far more advanced than our own, could inspire entirely new ways of thinking about existence. New spiritual movements might arise, focused on the idea that humanity is part of a much larger cosmic community. These new belief systems might stress unity, interdependence, and the idea that all intelligent beings are part of a shared journey through the universe. On the other hand, some might interpret the arrival of alien intelligence as a challenge to their religious or spiritual beliefs. Some religious traditions have long held that humanity is the center of creation, and the idea that other civilizations exist could be seen as a threat to this worldview. This could lead to a crisis of faith for many people, as they are forced to reconcile their beliefs with the reality of a universe teeming with intelligent life. Some might cling to the belief that these extraterrestrials are somehow inferior, evil, or even a test of faith, while others might reinterpret their religious teachings to incorporate the new reality psychologically. This kind of revelation could also lead to a re-evaluation of human values. In a world where humanity is no longer alone, the things that once seemed important, such as national identity, cultural heritage, and even the concept of individualism, might begin to feel less significant. The shift in perspective could lead people to question what truly matters. If there are beings out there with knowledge far beyond ours, how should humanity prioritize its goals? Would the pursuit of knowledge and progress take on new urgency? Or would people be content to wait and see what 3i Phi Atlas has to offer? The impact on human relationships could also be significant. People might bond over their shared experiences of discovery, seeking comfort in the idea that they are part of a larger community of beings. On the other hand, the fear and uncertainty brought on by the realization that humanity is no longer alone might lead to increased isolation or distrust. Individuals might withdraw, unable to cope with the overwhelming nature of the discovery. Others might form tight-knit groups, determined to protect humanity from what they perceive as a potentially dangerous new reality. In the end, the psychological effects of knowing that humanity is no longer alone would be deep and far-reaching. On an individual level, the discovery could spark feelings of awe, fear, or confusion, forcing people to reconsider their place in the universe. On a societal level, it could inspire unity or division as different cultures and belief systems grapple with the implications of extraterrestrial life. As humanity tries to process this revelation, new ways of thinking, living, and believing would emerge, reshaping the world in ways that are impossible to predict. If humanity were to make contact with an advanced civilization like 3i Phi Atlas, the potential for scientific breakthroughs would be immense. The knowledge and technology that they could share with us might lead to rapid advancements in multiple fields, fundamentally changing the way humans live, think, and interact with the world. One of the most significant breakthroughs could be in the area of faster-than-light travel. Currently, humanity's efforts to explore space are limited by the speed of light. Even the closest stars are years away, and the vast distances between galaxies are nearly impossible to cross with today's technology. But if 3i Phi Atlas has already mastered faster-than-light travel, it could change the way humanity explores the universe. Imagine the ability to travel across galaxies in the blink of an eye, making distant planets and stars accessible within a lifetime. The ability to explore space in this way could lead to discoveries beyond our current imagination, giving humanity access to resources, knowledge, and civilizations that were once unreachable. The technology for faster-than Light travel might also have applications closer to home. If 3I failures can manipulate space, time, it could lead to new methods of transportation here on Earth. What if we could travel between cities or continents in a matter of minutes, bypassing traditional transportation systems? The impact on global trade, communication, and daily life would be immense. Cities could become more connected, and the barriers of distance that currently divide the world might disappear. This could foster a greater sense of unity and cooperation between nations, as the physical distance between them becomes irrelevant. Alongside advances in space travel, the civilization could offer new methods of harnessing energy. Today, humanity's energy systems are based on finite resources like fossil fuels and nuclear power, both of which come with significant environmental and ethical challenges. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind power are promising, but they are still limited in terms of efficiency and scale. If 3I Atlas has discovered ways to harness energy more efficiently, perhaps even drawing from sources like dark matter or black holes, the possibilities for human energy use would be limitless. Clean, abundant energy could solve many of the world's most pressing problems, including climate change, resource scarcity, and geopolitical conflicts over energy resources. For example, imagine a system that can capture and store the energy of stars, or even manipulate gravitational forces to generate power. This kind of energy breakthrough could reduce humanity's reliance on destructive practices, like mining and drilling, preserving ecosystems and natural resources. A universal source of energy could radically transform every industry, from manufacturing to healthcare to transportation. The world could move toward a future where energy is no longer a limited resource, making way for innovations that would otherwise be impossible. In addition to advancements in energy and space travel, 3I Atlas's knowledge could offer solutions to some of humanity's oldest challenges, disease and aging. For centuries, humans have fought against illness and the inevitable decay of the body. Medicine has made remarkable progress, but many diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and genetic disorders remain incurable. Likewise, the aging process itself remains a mystery. If 3I Atlas has unlocked the secrets of biology at a level far beyond our current understanding, they could offer ways to eliminate diseases, regenerate damaged tissues, or even halt aging altogether. This kind of medical breakthrough could have profound consequences. Imagine a world where no one dies from disease, where aging is slowed or reversed, and where people can live for centuries in good health. The human lifespan could be extended far beyond what we think is possible, allowing future generations to experience life in ways we cannot currently imagine. New treatments for diseases that have plagued humanity for centuries could be developed, and genetic disorders that once condemned people to shortened lives could be cured. However, this kind of medical advancement would also raise important ethical questions. If the knowledge and technology to cure aging or eradicate diseases were available, who would have access to it? Would this create a divide between those who can afford the treatment and those who cannot? Could the balance of power shift in ways that could lead to societal instability? These are questions that humanity would need to consider carefully, but the potential for improving the human condition would be undeniable. Beyond health and space travel, the contact with 3I Atlas could also spark breakthroughs in fields like artificial intelligence, materials science, and quantum computing. With access to the advanced AIs that 3I Atlas likely uses, humanity could rapidly develop new forms of intelligence that could assist in every field imaginable. These AIs might be able to solve complex problems, make predictions, and offer insights into areas that have long been out of reach for human minds. The possibility of creating AI that could think, learn, and evolve could revolutionize everything from business to education to governance. Similarly, 3I Atlas's understanding of materials science could lead to the development of new, ultra-strong materials that are lightweight and versatile. Imagine building structures that are both incredibly durable and flexible, able to withstand extreme conditions without breaking down. These materials could be used in everything from space exploration to building sustainable cities on Earth. Advances in quantum computing could open the door to new forms of data processing and encryption, making it possible to solve problems that are currently beyond the reach of our most powerful supercomputers. While these breakthroughs would undoubtedly offer tremendous benefits, they could also lead to challenges. With advanced technology comes the potential for misuse. The power to manipulate energy, to cure disease, and to travel through space could be wielded for both good and ill. Humanity would need to consider the implications of such advancements carefully, ensuring that these powerful tools are used responsibly and ethically. The rapid pace of progress could outstrip humanity's ability to keep up, and society might struggle to adapt to the changes that come with it. For instance, if energy becomes limitless and space travel becomes routine, how would societies adjust to these new realities? How would governments, economies, and cultures shift when the constraints that have defined human history, like limited resources and physical boundaries, no longer exist? The changes could be so dramatic that they could lead to instability as people and institutions adjust to a new way of life. Moreover, as humanity becomes capable of achieving things once thought impossible, the question of identity and purpose would come to the forefront. What would it mean to live in a world where disease, aging, and even death can be controlled or eliminated? If the pursuit of knowledge and technological advancement takes precedence over the natural cycle of life, would humanity lose something essential in the process? These are questions that society would need to grapple with as scientific breakthroughs from 3I Phalos change the fabric of everyday life. The discoveries that could come from contact with such an advanced civilization would revolutionize humanity's understanding of the universe. With the power to travel across galaxies, harness energy from previously unimaginable sources, and cure diseases that have plagued humanity for centuries, humanity could enter a new era of possibility. However, as with any profound change, these advances would come with both immense opportunity and great responsibility. As we learn to navigate this new reality, the true challenge would be ensuring that these breakthroughs are used wisely and in ways that benefit all of humanity.